I'm sleeping through the day, I'm trying not to fade, but every single night I've just been lying awake. Cause I can't get you off my mind. The moment that we met, I didn't know yet that I was looking at a face I never forget. Cause I can't get you off my mind. I can't get you off my mind. Give me the chance to love you. I'll tell you the only reason why. Cause you are on my mind. I wanna know you're feeling. What do you see when you close your eyes? Cause you are on my mind. I wanna be best, I wanna be worst, I wanna be the gravity in your universe. And I wanna be there to help you fly. Oh, the longer that I wait, the more